have sworn I knew it all. Turns out when the chips were down, I knew nothing at all.
This is Alexander LASKA from the band Kingswood, and our brand new album Home is coming out February 24, and we can't wait to see you all.
Beautiful, man. Thanks for joining us today, brother.
No worries. Thanks for having me.
Oh,
Pleasure.
As you mentioned, man, Kingswood will release your fourth studio album, Home, on February the 24th. So how are you feeling about it?
Mate, I cannot be more excited, to be honest. This is an album that's been in the works for the last 3 years. We've actually got a whole bunch of albums ready to go. We were very diligent in the COVID situation. And it was actually, all of this was done at the base of Mount Tambourine in Wongawan, so not far from you.
Yeah, sweet. Would have known you were coming out a few beers with you.
Yeah. And we did a little bit off. We finished a little bit off in Nashville at the end of last year. For when we were there for Americana Fest. But yeah, it's a big rock and roll album. It's an alt country album. It's got lots of guitars. It's everyone says that we've gone country, but we played Tamworth and everyone was like, what's this rock and roll band doing here? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we sort of like stride the line between the two. But I would say it's a pretty guitar heavy album, to be honest. It's probably one of, I mean, put it this way, there are like at least, there's the most guitar solos we've ever had on this album, and a lot of them are harmonized guitar solos. So what does that tell you?
Tells you it's a fucking good album. And to date, you've released the track Burning Holes, mate. So is that a good sonic representation of what to expect?
Definitely not.
No?
Not at all. So Burning Holes is probably the most tender moment, and we kind of released it because it was the oldest written of the lot, and we kind of wanted to come out with, we like pulling left field moves. So in a cruel twist of fate, we decided to release our acoustic ballad as our first single, and then drop a rock and roll album in the follow up. So just to fuck with people, just because we're sadistic or something. I don't know what's wrong with us, but it's also a really good song, and we believed in the song, so we thought, why not? You know?
Yeah. And the album itself opens with the acoustic strains of the title track Home, which is an interesting choice for a first song on a rock album, man. Like, why go that way?
Because it emotionally sort of, I think, lands you. I think like it's like anything, you know, when you're watching a movie or reading a book or whatever, the title or the cover or the preview is usually designed to keep you in some sort of suspense, or to relax you, or to frighten you, or whatever it is, or to enlighten you, or to delight you. And Home for us is like, as the first thing, is designed to put you in a nostalgic mood, and a very relaxed and a feel good and a homely mood. And so as things liven up, and as things just decide to like dwell, or there's some musical experimentation, or you're like more accustomed, I suppose, to receiving it. If we just come belting out with riffs the whole time, it's like, okay, this is full on.
Yeah.
It's kind of what we did with Juveniles, and that's not the emotional place that we want you in when you start listening to this record. It definitely is a journey, this record, so you're gonna got to set it up in the right way, and Home is 100% the song to do it.
Yeah, cool. Now, I might be wrong here, mate, and I'm not saying anything suggestive, but the second track, Mercy, definitely adds the feel of Born on the Bayou a little bit. Do you reckon?
100%.
Yeah.
It's like it's like a tribute to Creedence Clearwater Revival, and that song specifically is the protagonist for that tribute. It's 100. I mean, we love Creedence and Fogerty, and that is like an ode to them. I mean, we even say I think there's a lyrical reference in there as like a little like homage, like, you know, thank you to Creedence, because we absolutely love Creedence.
Cool. I'm glad I was on the right track then. I wasn't sure if I should ask you that question, because I thought you might say, fuck off, we're not ripping anyone off.
Mate, everyone rips everyone off at every single moment of every point of their lives. So like, to try and deny it, or to pretend like we're originators of rock and roll, is the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
And it's a fucking good song too, mate. You do it well.
Oh, thank you, sir.
No. So
Appreciate that.
it's sort of touched on this a little bit, man, but the press release says the album is melodically rich in American vibes and bluesy rock, which is courtesy of having it mixed and mastered in Nashville by Eddie Spear. So, like, did you actually direct him to get that feel, or is it sort of more the touch that he put on it himself?
To be honest, Ed just creates Ed just takes what is already there and gives it like what I would call like tube tension and like balance and fidelity. There's not much actually of what Ed Ed did a little bit of production. No, he didn't really produce this album. Might have added some instrumentation. Like we just tracked some guitars and some pedal steel and stuff like that, and he had some tonal influence there and some tonal influence on the mix, but not really. Like the way it sounds is the way I recorded it. So it would be a very drastically probably different record if Ed and I produced it together. It'd sound probably more like After Hours, but that's okay. No, it was very intended the way it is to sound, and I kind of know how Ed mixes, so I kind of had that in mind.
And the press release also says that this is hands down the best writing to come from Kingswood as a critically acclaimed 4-piece embark on a new musical journey. So first thing I want to know, mate, is like, do you write your own press releases? Because they're very flattering.
No, we don't. We have a PR company that we pay. So I imagine it's effectively the same thing, isn't it? If you're paying a publicity company to write about you want to make sure that they're writing nice things.
True. So do you actually agree with what they say then, mate? And if so, what is the new musical journey and how far are you prepared to take it?
As far as it needs to go. And yes, they're definitely right. It is the strongest writing I've been writing music for the last, I don't know, 15 years now, and I write music for lots of other people, and some of that music is very successful. So I know how to write a song. And I would critically assess my own writing as the best. And you'd hope that it would be if I've been, you get to the end of 10 to 15 years of doing something, you'd hope you're constantly getting better and constantly refining. You would hope that you're not regressing and getting worse at it. So by virtue of time and dedication, like they have to be the best songs that I've written. That doesn't mean that there are moments of magic that happen by chance when you're younger and you stumble across things, and your naivety can be effective when talking about, and that's definitely been the case in my writing, where there's some things that I've done in a naive state and a less experienced songwriting state have still connected and resonated, because I think I'm probably good at recognizing humanity and my own humanity in things. I can't remember what the other question was, how far are we prepared to take it? Like I said, so long as I'm excited and I feel fulfilled and I feel inspired, I will continue down the road. And as soon as I don't, or as soon as I think I've probably exhausted it or want to explore something else, then I'll move somewhere else.
Yeah, damn straight.
And that's pretty indicative. If you've listened to Kingswood's catalog, that's pretty indicative of how I write and how much the band moves sonically. You know what I mean?
Yeah. There's a nice close up of your face just there, mate. I can probably count the hairs you got up your nostril right then.
Sorry, mate. I'm just getting some glass out of this cabinet because I cracked a window. I backed into a pergola the other day in Wagga Wagga. No, in Albury. So now we've got but the blessing of that is we always wanted a window that was openable at the back here, so now we've got
that. Oh shit. And you guys recently wrapped up a 30+ date of shows through Europe and the USA too, man.
Yes.
How was that?
Yes, we did. Incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible. The European tour was a good tester and a good sort of sampling of what's to come. We're playing predominantly what we're playing on the road now for this album, and kind of road testing a lot of the stuff. And the beauty of that is that you're playing to audiences that have no expectations and don't really know what the band sounds like. So there are no prerequisites, and then playing these songs and getting the responses that we were getting sort of validated that we're on a really nice thing. And because we all feel like there's quite a big affinity with this music at the moment. And it's not, it's, you know, it's a new thing to most people because they'll be like, oh, Kingswood's done something new. But as far as like my musical history concerned, like I've always loved country music and always loved country soul and alt country and blues. And I mean, you can hear it in our older albums. You can hear it in things like Ohio, which was on our first album, and you can hear it in Big City, which was on our second album. Um, yeah, we just sort of we would just dip a toe in the water of those sorts of influences. But now I've completely immersed myself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're going the whole 9 yards.
Why not, mate? If you're going to do something, you may as well do it properly.
That's it, mate. That's it.
Yeah. And this year, you're embarking on your biggest Australian national tour to date. So dubbed the Hometowns Tour, mate. You're going to be doing more than 70 dates across Australia. Like, that's phenomenal.
We're doing more than 110 shows.
Wow, that's phenomenal.
Yeah, we're trying to break a record.
So tell us a bit about the tour, mate. Like, where are you going from, where are you going to, and where are you going in between?
We're going everywhere. There's a huge place. I'm not going to sit here and list 110 dates for you.
Come on, mate, I'm bored.
We did sort of like a test run quickly up to Brizzy and back through regional New South Wales, like Tumut, Wagga, and Katoomba, and Albury. And we did a couple of shows in Brizzy in the Valley and gave the bus sort of a test run. Now we're back in the Victorian run. We're kind of doing regional Victoria and coastal Victoria. And then come March, we start a big, basically loop with like inland darts. So we're going to go up all the way to you guys, keep going north up to Cairns, all the way up to northern Queensland. And then we've got to quickly dart over to WA, which we do on flights. And we go back to far north Queensland. Then we'll be in NT and ACT, everything, go across up to Kununurra into WA. Across the top of WA, down the coast, all the way down into Busselton, Albany, Exmouth, Dunsey, everywhere, and playing all along the way. Then we go across to Nullarbor and sort of central up into like northern South Australia, then back down to the coast, come across the coast, like Mount Gambier and whatnot, and then back into Victoria and finish off with some corner shows. And that'll be the big leap. And there's Tassie in there, obviously, as well. And we're just debating whether we take the bus over, depending on how many dates we've got. It'd be amazing to take the bus over.
Hell yeah.
On the Spirit of Tasmania.
Shit, yeah. And talking about the bus, so you gave me a bit of a guided tour before, mate, but it's actually a special custom-made bus for the tour.
Yeah, it was custom made by us. So, and I'm not literally at the factory working on it just before I got off the frontier, and that's why I'm in my work uniform. But I'll give you a little.
I thought you dressed up for me, mate.
Yeah, I did. So here she is. So this is the bus. This is the back lounge. And then this is all specifically designed under our sort of prerequisites and our templates and our designs. And you go through into the bathroom area. And here are this is the bunk. This is the main bedroom. And then there's 2 more bunks here. And you go up into the front lounge. And this is where we're seated. And there's another TV up here. This is going to be our toilet. We just got that on order. So everything's still in the build phase. But
right behind the driver too. That's not going to be good when someone drops a dump at fucking midnight. That's right.
There's no dumping allowed on the bus.
Dump
and then, and then here we go. If we go out, picture of what she's like. So that's been our life for the last probably 2.5 months just before. Oh, we did it in about 6 weeks, I reckon. 6-7 weeks. Once we got back from Europe, we bought this from a guy down in. It used to be a Phillip Island coach bus, so we bought it off a mate of a guy who's become a mate named Lyndon, who's an absolute legend, and had it sat in Victoria while we were on tour, and we sort of planned it a little bit whilst we we're in Europe, and kind of using Europe as the template to be like, what would we want if we had a bus, and how many people would we want it to sleep, and what function that would it need, and if you're going to be on it for this long, how comfortable does it need to be, and where do you skimp and where do you not skimp, and what do you put money into, and what can you sort of like jimmy yourself, and you can't really skimp on anything if you're going to live on a bus for 6 months. So it's pretty amazing. The whole thing's primo. It's like a joy to be on. I mean, I can, like our back lounge for me to do interviews from here, it's like, it's a joy, you know.
Shit, yeah, looks it, mate. Looks it. Well, indeed. All right, man. Well, thanks very much for your time today, bro. It's been an absolute pleasure, and thanks for the guided tour. The album Home is out February the 24th, and I've been lucky enough to have a sneak listen to it, mate. And she's a fucking good effort. You've done a great job with it, mate. So can't wait.
Oh, thanks, Kris. Appreciate it, mate. Thanks so much.
No worries at all, my man. And we'll see you at the Wallaby Hotel for a few refreshing ales.
Beautiful. Can't wait, mate. Thanks so much for having me.
No worries, bro. Take care, man.
See you, legend. See you, mate.